My name is Denise Martin, and I am with Martin Hood Freezing Associates. Anyone in accounting here? No, I didn't think so. But anyway, I'm a CPA, public accounting, been doing it for 35 years. So the topic we're going to talk about today is a community-wide effort. Before we get started, I wanted to show you, now, everything we do is volunteer, so we wanted to do this video and we priced it and it was going to cost like $10,000. So we don't have any money, so we created it ourselves. So with Prezi, I think, yeah. So, so how many people are here from Champaign-Urbana or live here? Just all of you guys? Are any of the statistics on there shocking or surprising? Or sad?
Yes. Most of them are sad.
Right.
A lot of them would have been more surprising before we kind of got involved in these sort of just talks about these things.
Right. So, and I can't help but think that, you know, when you read the things like what did it say, 48% aren't reading at third grade level? How do they ever move forward if they can't, you know, and then the more you get behind, the worse it is. So another shocking thing that I didn't know when I got involved with this is how many in Champaign County nonprofit organizations would you guess there are?
There are at least 300.
Man, you know it all. Yes. Yeah. I mean, and so you're like, okay, wait. It's not for lack of lots of great people trying, right? So about 3 years ago, I started saying, I've been always volunteer to the community, and I started going, okay, we're raising all this money for something to do this thing, and nobody has any follow through. I'm not criticizing because there's great people who write, and we don't even know if it truly makes a difference. So there's no, and I started to hound the people that were in higher places about what are we doing here? We're in a major college, great community college, and we're having these type of numbers. So I got hooked up with a master's in social work woman, and she's like big into research. I'm not, but she found that in Cincinnati, Ohio, they have collaborative process. Has anyone heard of Strive? No. So and I put this on your fact sheet here. It's a collective impact model. Has anyone heard of that? No? Okay, so what Strive did in Cincinnati, Ohio, and theirs were way worse than ours, believe it or not, is they said we need to all be talking, working together, and moving in the same direction, and only do things that we can prove are actually effective, right? And they actually started to make a difference and move the needle. Where they were 20% kindergarten ready, they're now, I'm not sure what the numbers are, but quite a bit better. So Microsoft said that is so successful, we want this model across the country. So they paid $600,000 grant to get that done. So we have based a lot of what we're doing off of Strive, except for we're doing it all volunteer. We felt like our community is so rich, and I'm not just talking about dollars, I'm talking about smart people at our university, research, all that. And we didn't want to compete for money that other nonprofits want. So we are an all volunteer organization. Because let's face it, do you know that Champaign County is the most educated county in Illinois? That's great, amazing. Yet we have 67% free and reduced lunch. And we have had 90% growth in salaries over $100,000 in the last decade. So it's the money, the effort, the education, the passion is there, but what's missing? So we didn't set out to solve poverty, but I truly believe that if we break the cycle, that in the long run that will happen. Because what's happening is kids are coming out of school without being educated enough to fill skilled labor. And if you've read what's going to happen, skilled labor is the need for that's going to increase. If you notice, like at the grocery store, the checkout lines, they're replacing it with self-checkout, all the things that might be. So it's really going to start to do this if we don't do something about it. So what we did is, man, where am I going to put this thing? All right. So what we did is we literally had companies from Kraft, people from Kraft and other manufacturers in town write set processes. And we developed teams. I don't know if it's on here. Let's see. We have 5 what seems like really simple goals, right? They're what every parent wants for their kid. We want, and they're in here, they're right here. We want every one of our kids to be ready for kindergarten, right? We want, once they're in school, we want them to move along the spectrum, and we want them to keep moving 3rd grade reading, 5th grade math, all these key components. We would like them to be workforce ready when they leave, or career, right? Or college, but they're a lot of the same skills. We want them to finish some type of post-secondary education. That doesn't mean it has to be a 4-year degree. It could be nurse, trucking, certificate, anything to get them skilled labor. And obviously we'd like everyone to graduate from high school. Those seem very simple, right? Theoretically. So we develop teams around those goals, and they're all working together, and they're following set processes. So I want to kind of give you an example of what's going on. And this is a high-level illustration of our processes. This is off of a 5-page document because the people on our teams don't like to read. So we made this. So you get the team together and you define success. I'm like handing out all kinds of stuff, aren't I? Right? Sorry about that. So I'm going to tell you what we did for workforce. We've only started 2 teams because it takes a lot of work and it takes a lot of buy-in. You have to talk. I've been fascinated on 2 things. Remember, I'm an accountant in my own little world doing my accounting, but every time you turn around, there's a new person starting a nonprofit. Oh, this is a good idea. But nobody ever says, gosh, is someone already doing it? Or how do you do it the best and does it get results? so nobody's talking. So I've noticed that. And the other thing I've noticed is since everyone is competing for dollars, there's a lot of, infighting. So one of the things we're doing is trying to get everyone to talk, which is tricky. So going down this process for workforce readiness, I'm not going to give you this. I'm going to tell you this first. So we did, what does it mean to be workforce ready? And they worked hard on this definition, which seems straightforward, but it wasn't. Workforce ready student has the academic foundation, technical ability, work habits, and interpersonal skills to succeed. Seems pretty good. Now, then we surveyed all the businesses and said, what's missing? Or what would be your top 6 things you would like to see your people coming out of high school or college have? And so, can anybody give me ideas of what might have been in the top 6? Now remember, in top 6 means they also aren't seeing it, right? So there's a little bit of a gap.
Strong communication skills.
This girl's hired. So that's one. Anything else?
Somebody was reading the notes beforehand.
Yeah. That's not cheating. That's good, smart work. Any other ideas?
Do math skills come up at all?
Actually, I was a little bummed they do. They said, and this is a little bit from your people that are hiring right out of high school, right? Basic math and reading skills was on there, which was kind of a bummer. They're saying kids can't even fill out a resume sometimes or know how to dress for the interview, So, all right, that's 2 now. Because we're putting Readiness, so we got 4 more. Do you want me to tell you, or do you want to try guessing? I think you need to tell me. Come on. It's kind of sad, some of the stuff they're saying. Any ideas?
Organization skills?
That wasn't on there. I mean, it was on there, but it wasn't a top. They want them to be prompt and timely. All right, prompt and timely. Integrity, which is going to be tricky for us to measure, but that's kind of important. Personal accountability. And this one I thought was interesting, self-directed. So not having to hold their hands on everything. Here's an example. I was talking to an employer in town, and a guy showed up at the interview with his earbuds in and never took them out. Well, right? So there's some, but this isn't just kids coming out of high school. People coming out of college, we're having a lot of the hand-holding more is needed. I'm going to blame us, the parents, because. So anyway, those are our 6 skills that the employers are saying are lacking, and you guys have to fix it. So that's our challenge, right? So then what we did, what's the next thing on there? Let's see, that was define success, that was my success. Analyze need, that was this. And now we're going to figure out how to fix it, right? So we're doing all this research. So we need researchers, right? And they're researching, all right, what programs are in the country or what strategies best address those skills you just said are gaps, right? So we had 6 skills that we looked at. We looked at mentoring, social emotional learning, career and technical education, service learning, and out of school, after school programs. So like your Boys and Girls Club, and then we had to narrow it down because we can't do it all. So we interviewed teachers and we interviewed people and we did all this work. And the 2 that rose to the top was the kids need socio-emotional skills, which kind of ties in, and they need career and college education, right? Training. And when you hear CTE, what do you think of?
Vocational?
Right. So that's going to end up being, and it's changing. That's what it was when I was young. You went to shop, you went to, do they call it home ec anymore? I don't know what they call it now, but but it's bigger than that, right? It's teaching them in 5th grade to start thinking about their career, getting them excited about what they might want to do, and then figuring out what they have to take to do that. So I would call it, we're going to have a battle because a lot of parents, it's all college, and they hear CTE and they go, oh, well, we don't want our kid, right, in vocational training. So sad thing is, for some kids, it's maybe the right thing. you know. So anyway, that's what we're dealing with right now. Is now we have career, technological, social, emotional, which, to back up a little, kindergarten readiness is our other team, and they interviewed all the teachers, and the teachers said, you know what, we can teach them how to read and write, but they can't sit still in class. Social, emotional skills are rising to the top that kids don't have. So we are now going through strategies to work out what would be put in place or what can be put in place, what's already being done, what isn't being done. Do more of what's being done, less of what's not successful. Our biggest trick is data. Remember I said we had to prove everything, right? So I'm kind of making a plea to you guys right now. If you ever want to volunteer, we need people to help with data. So data has all kinds of facets. We have gathering data. We have, if you're sitting in a room with people that are not data people, and you need to be the one to say, hey, you're not talking about data. How are we going to prove this? What do we, you know? So having that hat on, collecting it, disseminating it, all that. So that is the trickiest part, because we don't want to keep putting our money at things that aren't really effective. So that's really my speech. Anything, questions, thoughts? Oh, come on.
So you said this is all sort of volunteers. So are there a lot of people from different companies? Does it tend to be professionals in the area?
Well, I didn't do a good job on this one. It's cross-sector, right? So we really want everybody. We have nonprofits, we have governments on the board, we have churches, which churches are huge because they have a huge, you know, they tap into so many different people. Businesses are really the main group. You have a lot of nonprofits. I feel like they get on board because they don't want to, what if there's money involved? You know, it's a little different. Yeah. We need to get more businesses, but it's really been very cross, which is good, you know, because if we all do one thing and no one talks to each other. Let me give you an example. There are 5 summer youth employment programs in town, probably 6, right? They don't know about each other, they don't talk. My company gets 5 calls. Will you help with, you know, right there? Wouldn't it be smart if we all worked together and, you know? Yeah. So it's a lot of everybody's doing this, and we want everyone to do this. So other things on here, I think we've kind of covered most of the stuff. But we would love to have you guys join our effort, any one of you individually or as a group. I think we have a lot of brain power here. Look at right here. Yeah.
Well, Rebecca is the webmaster for CU Volunteer.
Yes.
If you may have heard of it.
I have. I think I've used you guys when we were trying to find someone to make our website.
Yeah, I saw your
Yes.
Yeah, I'm the main developer for that website. So that's how I knew how many nonprofits were in the area.
Oh my gosh, it's crazy, isn't it?
So I mean, we hope that it is a useful resource for organizations to use to find volunteers. Though I think it doesn't have as much for trying to get organizations to collaborate with each other. And I'm actually kind of curious how much success you've had getting nonprofits to kind of talk to each other about what they're doing and cooperate on things.
Well, it's funny because I think, and I don't mean to, it's been really good. It's been really good because I think they're all seeing that this has to happen. It's like the timing's right. And here's what some of the things that have been good. So one of the things Kindergarten Readiness is doing is child find. And the theory is we want to get a hold of the entire family the minute the child that's probably going to be at risk is born and work with them along the way till they get in kindergarten. That's how we get them ready, right? You got to start right then. Well, so this team, which is all the nonprofits in town that deal with this kind of thing, has never been able to get in the door with Carl.
Huh.
They've pushed him back. Well, now Carl's on our steering committee, and now all of a sudden they're so excited because Carl's listening. So, you know, and they actually have been working together pretty well. It's been amazing. And the other thing is collaboration is the new buzzword for grants. So we just got a $5 million grant pulled in, not for us, because we're not, it's not money, but because we showed that we were collaborating and pulling all these groups together, then the federal government gave this grant to our community. So I think they're seeing that, right? Yeah, and we just got another grant to help with kindergarten readiness. A huge part of what we do too, and I didn't bring this, but some of our overarching principles is about the family. I truly believe we can teach a kid all we want, but if they go home and are learning a totally different thing. So last summer we did a KR family camp, and not only did we teach the kids, but we brought the parents in and taught them how to teach their own kids. And I think for us to presume that parents, you know, there's a big divide in what we're used to, and for us to presume that parents don't care about the well-being, you know, I think there's a lot of, especially in the privileged community, oh, well, those people aren't doing this. Well, they don't, probably have 2 jobs. They probably can hardly make ends meet, right?
So are there any part of the program that kind of tries to focus on that part, like the reasons why their parents can't spend a lot of time with them?
Yes. In fact, we did a survey. Actually, it was amazing. 500 parents responded about what are your barriers. And even in our processes, I don't know if it's in here written exactly, because once you get your plan, you can't just say that's great and hand it to someone. You have to find out what works for the parents. There are 2 highest things, the 3 highest things the parents said were they need the programs in their own neighborhood because they can't get there. They don't have cars, they don't have transportation, and so we're really focusing on some of the North End more poorer neighborhoods, doing the things right there in the schools. Number 2, they just didn't have food. I mean, and that's, you know, can you imagine? We have another little presentation we do where in a class of 25, I can't remember what the percent is. It's awful, the amount that are hungry, right? And then the amount that don't graduate from high school. It's just, so if you go to class hungry, like I'm really hungry right now, how do you study?
You don't.
How do you focus?
My friends won't take me anywhere when I'm hungry.
Right. Yeah, so those are some things.
Snickers commercials.
It actually is though.
It's true, and I'm the kind that if I'm hungry, I can't concentrate.
And there are a lot of people who've never been in a situation where they really couldn't have food,
Right.
like when they were hungry and couldn't eat instead of just weren't eating. Don't
Right.
understand how horrible, how you can't get anything done,
Right.
productive at all when you're hungry.
It's awful. And the family camp we did was really great because the other thing people can't do is they have 5 kids. They can't go focus on this one kid. So we brought the entire family in, and we had the other kids learning and teaching each other. You know, so there's some things we need to do as a community. There's a huge, honestly, black-white divide that is very difficult, and lack of trust. That's good. We're talking about that today, but we're working on that, bridging that gap. Now, where'd you guys go to high school? The people that are from here, are you?
Yeah, I went to Union High.
Union High. Okay. So you didn't see the Champaign Central and Centennial, all the issues that are there. They're great schools, though. Did anyone else go to one of those schools? No?
Not from here originally.
Where are you guys from?
Chicago suburbs.
I'm from Memphis, Tennessee, so I don't know about the problems that are in Champaign schools specifically, but it's a huge issue that's happening in Memphis City schools as well.
Yeah, oh my gosh, Tennessee's, they have a lot more issues maybe. I hate to say it.
No, it's true.
Yeah, and where are you from?
I'm from a couple hours north of here, Sheldon, if you've ever heard of it.
Yeah. But how big was your high school?
There were, well, the town I went to was a bit larger, but there was 90 people in my graduating class.
All right, so small. And how about you?
I am from Columbia.
So do you have any issues in Columbia? Yeah. My sister-in-law's from Columbia. Yeah. So what kind of got me started and made me sad, 2 things. My boys did basketball in high school, and there were a lot of kids, great kids on their team that I knew once they graduate from high school, they really, what are they going to do? I mean, they're making $8 and the minimum wage isn't going to cover it, and it actually lends itself to want to do drugs or because you can't live off of the education level they have. So that broke my heart. And then the other thing was, we were raising all this money to get a speaker in. I was in this group. I'm like, okay, I kept saying at the table, well, what is the speaker going to do? What are we going to do after they leave? It was coming in to talk to kids. And why was this $10,000 really going to get us anywhere? We could buy $10,000 worth of food, and they'd probably do better in class, So I don't think it's a lack of resources. I think it's a misdirection of resources.
I'm curious if you've done any research into the hunger problem, if the issue is with the food banks and other support systems not having enough food, or them being unable to distribute it, or people being either unable to qualify to get that kind of aid or unwilling to take it. Do you know?
I don't know. Food bank would probably know. I don't know. If you read, who's heard of Salt and Light? Has anyone heard, right? Have you heard about how they're changing their mission?
No.
It's awesome. So in Georgia, there's this guy, he wrote a book called Toxic Charity. And he talked about how you're always giving stuff to people. It ruins their humility and their pride. So Salt and Light has switched. They don't give stuff away now.
Their new model. I didn't realize that's what you were talking about.
Right, and they are based on this book. They had the guy come speak. Probably didn't pay $10,000. No, and you have to work there, and people are really excited. They're actually like working. So
it seems like a really great model.
But I think a lot about what happens, and now they're pushing on the food to they're starting to put pantries in the schools. Is the kids can't. What are they going to go over to the food bank or go? Right? Use
the
for
idea of a food desert, basically, where there's no actual grocery store near you, and if you don't have a car, you can't get to the grocery
exactly.
store. So you can maybe
even
take
getting
the
to
bus,
Salt and
but
Light, right?
It's a really long trip. And
Salt and Light stuff's really good. For you guys who don't know, maybe they have a system where you work, volunteer a certain number of hours, either with them or with any other nonprofit that will kind of sign your form to say you did it, and then that racks up essentially points that you spend in their store on food or in the thrift store on clothing and furniture and other things you might need. Kind of like a Goodwill combined with a food pantry. And you kind of get these credits to buy the things you need based on how much you've given back to the community, which is really cool. But they're also way up,
they're out in the boonies,
in the middle of
right?
Urbana, and I feel like they would have a lot more success if they just had more places where they.
Well, and that's one of the things being talked about. And there's this, what's it called? Community schools. So we're also looking at in the schools in the North End doing services out of there, because a lot of it is people just can't get them, right? And so really, it's almost what we're doing is trying to get people to talk and communicate. Another really good thing about the family camp is a lot of, how do I say this, the underprivileged or at-risk children's families are afraid of school because they had no success in school, right? So they don't want to come in and talk to the teacher because they hated teachers, or they didn't do well. So it's opening, the schools are letting us use their buildings, and the people are getting used to coming into the schools, which is helping with the comfort of just being in the schools. So
and trust, probably.
Trust is a huge deal, right? So, and I think the churches are big for trust too. If we can get the churches to work with their, so it's a battle. Maybe it won't work, but it's worth trying. So, any other questions? You back there? How come you sit way back there? Are you? So am I. And I got this. It's going to look like I have like armpit issues. So, who's going to join us on our data team? Are you guys like all moving away after 4 years? I mean, are you all students? Who's not a student? So one of you guys could volunteer to be on our data team for workforce readiness. Just think about it.
I don't know, not a statistics person exactly.
I'm terrible at statistics. I can write you something. I almost considered contacting you guys when I saw your make our website opportunity.
Oh yeah.
But if I volunteered for every opportunity on Sea
I know you would have a hard time, wouldn't you? Oh, that sounds good. That sounds good. So you hear, that's the problem, we gotta come up with another name for it, because people hear data and they go, I don't wanna do data, right? And I don't know that it's like that. It's more about saying, how are we gonna measure it? For instance, our kindergarten effort, we're developing a survey. This is where the writing would come in, and then that'll be given to the parents before and after. So it's putting that brain on. Like, how are we going to figure out if it's having any success? It's not statistics. It's not.
Right. It's not data analysis.
Not a number. It's right. We got someone doing that. It's
actuary.
putting the hat on to go, okay, you guys are all great. You're coming up with these ideas, but whoa, whoa, whoa. We can't just measure. Everybody right now measures on attendance. Well, that's not really proving anything, right? Except if attendance goes down.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it tells you something, but you have to make a lot of guesses as to what it is that it's telling you.
Right. So our data person for workforce would be sitting in on our meetings where we're planning our strategy and saying, yeah, that's a great strategy, but what are we going to do? How are we going to know it's successful? So anyway, that's my pitch. Thank you, guys.